Well, hello everybody. Welcome back, and you're joining Ken Himmler here, and we're talking about the virus. Second, we got a little feedback going on here. Okay, sorry about that. And so we're going to be talking about health care, making sure that you've got the right things set up to protect yourself. And so the first thing I want to talk about really is the healthcare power and some issues that you might run into power of attorney. And so for those of you that don't have one or don't understand what that is in today's world of defensive medicine, now this is before the virus, we had an issue where if, let's say, you were rushed into a hospital and a doctor or a hospital had to make certain medical decisions, they may not want to do that. And quite honestly, you can't really blame them. I mean, many doctors, there is even this one case that I reference where there was an off-duty physician and he encountered a person that was choking, and I don't know the right term for it, but he saved him by pushing on his chest and ejecting this, but he broke a rib. Well, this one person that he saved the life of sued him for breaking his rib, and he won. And some laws have been passed in certain states that would prevent somebody from suing somebody by saving their life if they got injured, but there's other states that don't have that coverage. And then you have the issue of when certain doctors and certain hospital makes medical emergency. Sometimes what happens is you get sued for making the wrong decision if something bad happens. And then you've got the other issue, which is, let's say that you had to make a medical decision, and that person may be deemed not authorized to make that medical decision. And in certain cases, I've had where clients go into a hospital, or clients' parents go into a hospital, and they're trying to make a medical decision, and the hospital's legal department will not allow them to do certain things. And they want to have the right person show up. And sometimes that's not possible. Now enter the virus, where, I read an article today about a health, and she got sick. She was helping some of the people that were going through that tragedy. She herself became infected, and she unfortunately went into the ICU, and she's texting kids and her parent and her husband because they wouldn't let her in to the hospital. They wouldn't let the family into the hospital, and she unfortunately passed away. So her kids and husband never got to say goodbye. But now if you take that into the context of, can the person make a legal decision or a healthcare decision in this situation? It might be very hard. I can't tell you it's a yes or a no, but I can observe what the dynamics are in today's environment and tell you that it might make a lot of sense to make sure that you have the right healthcare documents set up. So with states blocking borders, really the inability to jump on an airplane and go somewhere, you can't even rent a car. So if that, let's say, is as your healthcare attorney, and I'll use Las Vegas as the example only because I live here, but let's say that you have a child, let's say you're a Las Vegas resident, and you have a child that lives in, I don't know, Boston, and you're rushed to a hospital here. All I can tell you is, in the search, will that doctor, will that hospital take the authorized direction person they've never met from a person may or may not have legal documentation? I don't know. I just tell you that I think there's a lot of risk. Now let's add on the second layer of what I think the big problem is. Do you have paper documents, or do you have an electronic digital vault? So since 2015, we have made sure that all of our clients that we draft trusts, healthcare power of attorneys, and financial durable power of attorneys, all of those documents are saved into a digital vault. So if one of our clients has to go into a hospital or has a medical event, the kids can call and contact us, and we can get those legal documents to whatever hospital or doctor that might be around, that might need to have that document notarization, or somebody through video actually authorize a medical document or to authorize medical procedures. So I think that's an important part today, is to make sure that there is a centralized electronic place where people can get to those healthcare documents. And again, let's not forget that the trust itself does not allow decisions for medical, that does not allow medical decisions. Its primary purpose is to pass the financial responsibility to the backup trustees, and or pass any of the after passing death responsibility. So if you're disabled and you're not mentally or physically capable of making those decisions, whoever you have named as your trustee, as long as the assets are properly funded in the trust, are the parties that will be able to look at what happens after passing. Whoever you've named as your backup trustee would be able to settle your estate, would be able to make decisions on your estate. However, again, I throw the caveat in here that you must have all of your assets in the trust name. If you don't, it will go through probate. So let's move on to the next issue, which is what happens if, under just normal circumstances, you are deemed to be either mentally or physically incapable of handling your own financial affairs. That's one angle, and I'm going to cover that in a second. And then the second issue is how, meaning we now know that this COVID-19, if a person makes it through it, if they have it, there are chronic illnesses or chronic issues. Number one, with lungs. Number two, it looks like now it has kidney and liver problems and heart problems. So these are, especially the lungs, are disabling type of ailments. You know, depending upon damage that we're seeing, that we're reading about within lung damage, this could mean that you are not able to go back to work again. It might mean that have to have full-time or part-time care. You know, we've always talked to people about disability insurance. And a lot of times people make the mistake, and, you know, I go back to my cynical side. People ask me, well, why does everybody want insurance, but disability insurance? Well, again, I think a lot of that has to go back to the insurance industry, in that insurance agents are paid a pretty good commission on life insurance, yet the commission rate on disability is paltry compared to life insurance. So a lot of what is sold is based upon those commission rates. However, if I take a healthcare worker, it might be a doctor, it might be a nurse, let's say that they're in their 30s or 40s. Now, we're going to make two presumptions. One is they're single. What is the insurance that they should carry? Disability insurance. Why? Well, the question is do you insure the goose or do you insure the golden egg? Well, if you're the income earner, you're the goose producing the golden eggs. That's what you want to insure. However, if you're married, maybe there's a combination of low-cost term insurance and disability insurance. And why is this important? Well, if you're a healthcare worker on the front lines, and even if you're not, if you're just a person that develops COVID-19, which is the biggest probability today, or if you're a person that has a stroke, you develop Alzheimer's, dementia, There's so many ailments that prevent us as humans from just operating in the normal capacity. And so if you develop one of these, how to provide either just for yourself or for your family. Now, one of the issues that I've always had is people will look at a situation. If there's a husband and a wife, they'll look at it and they'll say, well, as long as I care of that person that gets. Now, this is where I'm going to differ a little bit in the generally accepted financial planning practices, because I think that most of the software, most of the planners, is to make sure that the person that goes in the nursing home or the person that needs in-home care has financial protection. But what I've seen is actually the devastation of the person that's left at home, the healthy spouse. So take an example. Now I'll use a retired couple. So if I have a retired couple, and let's say that each of them have $30,000 a year in Social Security, and let's further say each of them have $30,000 a year in a pension plan. So we have $120,000 in total between the both of them in money coming in. Now, if the husband goes into the nursing home, that's going to be about $70,000, which is the national average. How is that going to get paid? Now, many people say, well, you have Medicaid, and Medicaid is what's referred to as the welfare for healthcare. And so if that person can show that they have less than $2,000 in assets, then Medicaid steps in and they will pay for some of that care. Now, the issue is that you have to show less than $2,000. Now, there used to be a provision where they could take your home, but there is now what's called a Healthy Spouse Protective Act. And what that allows is if the husband goes into the nursing home, or if the husband needs in-home care, the Medicaid system cannot claim or force a sale on a primary residence. However, don't think it's so sweet. The debt is going to accumulate. So as an example, if the long-term care is $80,000 a year, and between the Social Security and the pension of the husband, that's $60,000 a year, we're still short $20,000. So what's going to happen is they're going to go to the spouse and they're going to say, do you have the $20,000? No, I don't have the $20,000. Now, they're a little sneaky, are going to step back and say, oh, well, what I'll just do is I'll just transfer the money. I'll transfer it to a child. I'll change the name. Not back in 1996, because I still get people that come to me and they'll ask me how to do this. And generally they'll come to me after the event has happened. So somebody's gone into a nursing home. The husband will come to me or the wife will come to me and they'll say, I got a couple $100,000 in assets. How do I hide this money? So let me be clear. Back in 1996, there was a law called the Kennedy-Castlebaum Law. And the reason is prior to that law, people were coming to financial planners, elder care lawyers, and some accountants. Most accountants were not versed in this. And we were prior to that, we were legally allowed to move money to protect it. After 1996, it makes it a felony for both the advisor and the person who does this. So I won't give any advice as to how to move money, hide it, alter the name, change it at all. Now, you can read a lot of stuff online. Most of it, I'd probably tell you 90% of it, I wouldn't believe it. Especially if they just state, it's legal. I love that. But it's legal. Prove to me that it's actually legal. It's easy to say it's legal. The question is, how do you have proof that it's legal? Because you can go online and there's all these companies that will promise for a fee to hide your money or show you how to hide your money. And it says it's 100% legal. Well, it's easy to say in an ad, but it doesn't mean. So it is illegal to move money. Now, what you can do, however, I've never done it, and I probably never will do it, you can set up something called a Miller Trust, named after the person who got this approved. You can transfer assets. You have to have what's called an independent trustee, and that trustee can authorize certain types of withdrawals. You have to do it 60 months, 5